Suspected mushroom poisoning in Victoria, which led to the deaths of 3 people.
A family representative says Erin Patterson has not confirmed if she plans to attend. Reverend Ian Wilkinson is the only sole survivor.
It is not uncommon for families to experience conflict. However, it's not so common that conflict leads to violence and murder. Hence, when an estranged Australian family put aside their differences and met for lunch one ordinary day, no one suspected that it might be their last meal together ever. Or did they? The image of a mother standing at the stove, stirring a delicious meal for the family is one associated with love and warmth. But what if the sumptuous-smelling dish is actually poisonous? Could this be an intentional sinister plot by the family matriarch, or simply a devastating accident? Like a Shakespearean drama, today's story reveals the dark complexities of a fractured family, including bitter divorces, mysterious illnesses, and attempted murder. Whilst the final verdict of did she or didn't she is yet to play out, you won't want to miss today's bite-sized true crime recap, Erin Patterson's lethal lunch of death cap mushrooms. By day, Erin Patterson crunched numbers as an accountant. By night, she devoured crime novels as a hobbyist. She was a mother of 2, a regular person with no criminal record or motive. But now, she is the center of a twisted mystery that has captivated the true crime community, following a deadly dinner she hosted at her home. On July 29th, a family gathering was held in the charming Australian town of Leongatha, Victoria. In an act of solidarity and optimism, the Patterson family and their in-laws, the Wilkinson family, gathered together to enjoy a feast arranged by the Pattersons' ex-daughter-in-law, Erin Patterson. Gail and Dawn Patterson were both 70. Gail's sister Heather Wilkinson was 66, and her husband Ian 68. Erin cooked a special beef Wellington dish filled with mushrooms and hoped the lunch would introduce laughter and camaraderie back into their strained family. This was not just any regular lunch gathering. Erin and her ex-husband, Simon Patterson, had been bitter and resentful for a few years now. This meeting was supposed to help bury the hatchet and allow the family to discuss future arrangements regarding the couple's 2 children, and in Erin's mind, possibly explore if they could mend their broken marriage. In what turned out to be a stroke of luck, Erin's ex-husband Simon abruptly canceled and didn't attend the lunch. The couple's children were also absent, having left their mother's house earlier for the movies. Unfortunately, though, the remaining members of the Patterson and Wilkinson family were not so lucky. After the meal concluded and the families returned to their respective homes, things started to unfold. On that same night of July 29th, the 4 visitors began showing alarming symptoms of suspected gastro and were admitted to the hospital. As their symptoms worsened, they were transferred to Melbourne to receive specialized care. Unfortunately, however, it was not enough, and within just a few weeks of enjoying their meal together, former teachers and beloved community members, Heather, 66, Gail, 70, and Dawn, 70, were dead, with Ian, a local pastor, still struggling for his life and waiting for a liver transplant. Australians were shocked as the news of the deaths flooded the media, along with images of a distraught Erin declaring both her innocence in anything nefarious and her love for the people who had died. Investigations were launched with the homicide squad involved, directed by Detective Inspector Dean Thomas. According to the inquiry, death cap mushrooms were discovered in the food served to the Patterson family. Death cap mushrooms, infamous for their poisonous attack on the liver, are dangerous and can turn fatal if urgent medical attention is not sought. Police questioned Erin Patterson, the cook responsible for the disastrous supper, who personally remained suspiciously unharmed. She claimed that the mushrooms were bought from a major supermarket in Melbourne in order to prepare her beef Wellington dish. She suggested that maybe something was indeed wrong with the mushrooms, as she too fell ill and landed in the hospital with diarrhea and stomach pains. However, rather than clearing Erin, this story was the first red flag against her. Erin appeared relatively healthy, showing no signs of diarrhea or stomachache. The police also did not find any evidence of her being admitted to the hospital. Erin Patterson caught in her lies. The police dug deeper, and increasingly, Erin appeared to be the prime suspect. As alarming truths emerged, Erin Patterson was looking more and more like a culprit caught in a web of deception. On top of this, detectives noticed that her story fluctuated several times throughout the investigation. Initially, Ms. Patterson told police officials that the dish she prepared was served on different plates, and she allowed her in-laws to choose their plates, whereas she took the leftovers. The story about why her kids were not there also changed multiple times. She first claimed that her kids attended the meal but did not eat anything, and hence were not affected by the poisonous mushrooms. She later recanted this, however, and told the police that her kids had departed for the movies before the lunch was served. To further prove that she did not know anything about the mushrooms being poisonous, she told the police that her kids also ate the leftovers of the poisonous meal, the mushroom-filled beef Wellington. However, she had scraped off the mushrooms from the dish since her kids disliked it. Erin preserved the leftover lunch and sent it to the experts for analysis after her guests fell sick, appearing like she was assisting the investigation. Yet at the same time, the absence of her food dehydrator created more questions. Food dehydrators are devices that remove moisture from mushrooms before adding them to beef Wellingtons, and it was discovered that Patterson had disposed of the food dehydrator she had used to make the fatal dish after she was questioned about killing her in-laws. This action only raised more doubts about her innocence, especially after Patterson initially denied discarding any food dehydrator when questioned, but later admitted that she threw it away at a nearby dump in a state of panic. In the meantime, Erin expressed her sorrow over the deaths of her loved ones and struggled to grasp that her family was no more. She claimed to have no reason to kill them and declared to the world that she loved them. The police were at this point unable to gather further evidence against her, and the case was still ongoing. However, alarm bells would soon ring again as more details came out. Just as the case was being considered a mishap due to food poisoning, another unexpected discovery threw Erin back again in the headlights as her past was scrutinized. Erin and Simon divorced amicably in 2022 after years of living apart. However, suspiciously around the same time, Simon was reported to have been afflicted by an unknown illness, resulting in 3 emergency operations and 1 scheduled procedure on his small intestine in 2022. The illness got so bad that he spent 16 days in a coma. Simon revealed that this condition had occurred after consuming a meal prepared by his wife. His situation was so grave that his family were advised to say their last goodbyes since the doctors feared he would not live. When Simon posted this information on Facebook, true crime sleuths as well as authorities were convinced something was amiss. The police are now suspecting that his wife Erin had something to do with those illnesses, although there is no evidence of any such doings yet. In a shocking turn of events, red, blue, and black symbols were found on a horrific death wall inside Erin's former Korumbura house. The wall was covered in scary graffiti, including "You died from my sword" and "You don't long to live 1 hour exactly." Stick figures of a guy and a female hovered over what appeared to be 3 tombstones, along with unsettling statements scribbled across the wall. Erin first attributed these pictures to her kids, but professional psychologist Julie Sweet clarified that kids' drawings frequently depict their feelings, anxieties, and experiences. This seemed like the work of a person with satanic inclinations and deeply problematic psychology. However, this information raises a cloud of doubt about the inconclusive nature of the case. The painter, invited to repaint the wall after taking a photo of it to sell the property, was startled by the numerous allusions to death, especially the tombstones found. Could someone who had scribbled her walls with such disturbing imagery and words be capable of murder? Is there a possibility that Erin had some form of mental illness and in the end killed her in-laws? What was the source of Erin's hatred for her spouse and his parents? A glimpse into her online chat revealed some clues. A friend of hers exposed her chat, where she allegedly confessed that she was miserable in her wedlock and that she felt lonely as a parent. She also resented her husband Simon for both his indifference and his lack of support in running the household. At the time of this video, no case has been filed against Erin. Thomas, the investigation officer, has revealed how, based on multiple possibilities, the suspect could indeed be innocent and the entire event the result of a horrific accident. The investigation is still in process, however, and the team has issued an official statement declaring that wild mushrooms are a potential cause of death. Warnings have been issued in the region to urge people to be careful of the types of mushrooms picked in the wild, and recommendations made to eat only those purchased from supermarkets. Nevertheless, the entire community has been shaken by the incident, resulting in heavy backlash for the suspect Erin. The Patterson family's narrative took a terrifying turn in a small Australian town where life generally moved peacefully. A peaceful lunch was soon converted into a crime thriller episode without concrete evidence to provide the neat and tidy ending of the whodunit. This tragic story has left a deep scar in a place where incidents like this were unthinkable, as families connected over meals together and valued their community.